Welcome one, welcome all to your Monday ritual known as the Ultimate Hockey Show. My name is Michael Gill. I'm joined by Rich Petty. Good evening, Rich. How are you?
Very good. How about you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Interesting weekend hockey side for me on the business side, but yeah, we'll see what happens in the future with that. Excited about some possibilities and what have you, and yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
And just before we get started, Rob has an opening comment. He said, "Good evening, Chance." Um, yeah, you know what? There is only one story and one story only these days, and that is the Winnipeg Jets falling twice in Colorado this past weekend, losing both games in undramatic fashion slash predictable fashion.
Yeah.
Um, And now they've lost three in a row. If you couple that with game number two at home, I know we sat here last week earlier, and I said 2-2 they would come back home, and 3-1. This one thing, it's 3-1. It's certainly feels insurmountable the way this 3-1 deficit came about. Um, we're going to try to talk this through logically. Rich, I know you and I were exchanging some text messages yesterday already. Have your opinion, suggestions, how we got here changed in the last 24 hours?
Oh, there's a lot there, Mike. That's the most open-ended question I think I've ever heard of, and I was in sales for 20 plus years. So
Well, I mean, I think it's
what
time for an open-ended conversation about this.
the
And
open-ended question for an open-ended conversation. Okay, okay. I can go.
so,
There's
so
lots to unpack here. How about
I'll,
that?
I'll, I'll let you have the first watch at this
Okay,
pinata. Let's put it that way.
okay,
Um,
okay.
thoughts, opinions, suggestions. Go.
Okay.
Where do you want me to go first?
Okay. No, I can go first. That's fine.
Okay.
Um, I just got a question here. Are you surprised that the Jets are down 3-1 coming home to game 5? I would say in general, I think most people are surprised. Probably everybody in Winnipeg and probably the majority of hockey people. Like if you talk to sports analysts, I mean, or you not talk to them, if you heard them on the radio or the television or blogs or radio shows, whatever, or in the newspaper, Craig Button to Mike Johnson to um, Colby Armstrong. You go down the list, they all said, the Jets can win this series. The Jets should win the series, and it was because you could saw off, the goal scoring here and there. They're both teams that can score, but the consensus was that having a team that plays better team defense and has the stronger goalie, in this case, the Vezina Trophy nominated and probably Vezina Trophy winning player on their team, is going to win the series. And so when you look at it logically, when you just look at the facts, you say, yeah, the Jets should win. It may take 7 games. I predicted 7, you predicted 6, but most hockey people and everyone in Winnipeg said, the Jets are going to win the series. Now, they could be down 3-1 and they could all be losses. Like they could have won the first game by a goal and lost the next 3 games in overtime or by a single goal or, just whatever happens. But that's not what's happened. This has been what we've seen over the last 3 games. And you could argue even the first game, because winning 7-6 at home was not what anybody thought either.
Yeah,
Out of
right, right.
everything, out of everything that's happened in the first round, with all the teams, with all the players, with all the scenarios, with everything, the Jets being down 3-1, but playing the way they're
Yeah.
playing in these last 4 games is probably the most shocking development out of all the developments, all the injuries, the Leafs struggling, this and that. Some goalies coming out of the woodwork, like the third string goalie for Vancouver winning last night. Vancouver coming down from being a pair of goals down with 3 minutes. Those are all great stories, but those aren't the most shocking thing. In my mind, the most shocking thing is a team, I think that overall, I think with 110 points, I think they were 5th or 6th overall. I think there was
4th.
4th overall.
Yep.
Because I
Second in
think
the
only
West.
the Rangers, Carolina, and
Dallas.
Dallas that had more points than them, I think, and Vancouver may have been tied with them at 110. I think
We were one ahead of Vancouver.
Oh no, and then also the Stars. So they were
Yep,
4th.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, 5th overall team being handed to them. Like, where is the team that led the league in goals against as a team for the last 82 games? Vanished. Where's the goalie that led the league in save percentage? Vanished. The power or the penalty killing stinks. And it doesn't just stink. I'm good as an expression from the 80s. It stinks on ice. That's what we used to say. When something was so bad that it stunk worse than stink, it stinks on ice. It just stinks. It makes ice melt. That's how bad it stinks. That penalty kill. Here's a fact for you. The Jets have given up 6, 5, 5, and 4. So what is that? 20 goals against in, I think, 19 or 20 goals against in, or 21 goals, whatever it is, in the first 4 games that they've given up against. More than half of those are when they're a man down. The Jets in 4 games have given up 9, count them, 9 power play goals. And then 2 additional goals scored against them when Colorado pulled the goalie in game 1, but still lost the game. So you think about that. In 4 games, the Jets have allowed 11 goals when they're shorthanded. I don't care what you're playing. You could be playing ringette, tiddlywinks, whatever sport you want to play. If you're a man down and you can't keep the other team from scoring, the majority of the time, you're not going to win the game. And when you allow 2 goals a game just on the penalty kill, that penalty kill is so awful. And I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. Is it the players? Is it the goalie? Is it the system? Is it the other team? I don't think Colorado's that great. That team has been terrible all year, and I can't figure it out. I can't figure, is it because they're not aggressive enough? They're too aggressive. It's not the right guys. They're not large enough. They don't block enough pucks, shots. I don't know. But that penalty kill stinks. The defensive play as a team vanished. Vezina Trophy vanished. Hellebuck, I would argue, is the worst goalie out of the 16 teams. The best goalie during the regular season has been the worst goalie out of the 16 plus goalies, because some guys only played once because other guys got injured on other teams. But out of all the goalies that have played, Hellebuck has been by far the worst. And the team and Rick Bowness says, it's not his fault. We got to play better. Yeah. He's got to be better. He's a Vezina Trophy winner. So that is just unbelievable. And the worst thing of all, what's actually shocked me the most out of everything, and I'm going to turn over to you to get your reaction, is how easily Colorado has pushed their will, their game plan, whatever you want to call it, onto the Jets with no pushback from the Jets in 4 games. They were lucky to win game 1. If game 1 had been 62 minutes and not 60 minutes, Colorado was scored another goal with the goalie pulled, and then into overtime, and then who knows what could happen. The Jets could have lost 8-7. So how easily the Jets have just rolled over. Where are our superstar players? Where's Ehlers, Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, Monahan, Toffoli, Morrissey? None of those guys. I have not seen any of them doing anything special.
I will exclude openly Josh Morrissey from your list because he's got 2 goals.
Yeah, but he's playing invisible. He's not impacting the game as he normally does. He plays a lot of minutes, but he gets pushed around. And that's the thing. They talked about it in the game yesterday, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
When you get to the playoffs, You have to have defensemen that push that make it hard for the other team's forwards to go to the net and knock down pucks and get goals and screen the goalie. And the Jets are not strong enough to do that, excluding Brendan Dillon. He's the only one that does it. Logan Stanley does it, but he's not smart enough because he hasn't played enough. He's not enough of a veteran. But none of those guys know how to push guys around and make it hard for the other team to score. There's guys in front with Colorado knocking down pucks, getting rebounds, getting all these goals. But yet Connor, Ehlers, these guys, nobody can get to the front of the net because the Colorado guys, they know how to play. They make it hard for you to go to the net. They make it hard to get rebounds. They make it hard to get chances to score. And the Jets are trying to do every little cute little play and little tic-tac thing. Shoot pucks at the net, go hard to the net, get your nose busted, get slashed across your arms, get cross-checked in the back. That's how you score in the playoffs.
The way to sum it up, the way they sum it up in one sentence, you're not paying the price to get to the front of the net. Plain and simple.
Shocking to you? Is it not shocking to you how easily Colorado has pushed Winnipeg around? Like, Colorado does whatever they want. They do whatever they want. They skate wherever they want. They shoot from wherever they want. They hit whoever they want. They go to the net. They get rebounds. They can cycle the puck. When was it? Can you recall any time, especially in the last 3 games, where the Jets have had any sustained pressure in Colorado zone? I can't think of a time. All they're doing right now is
maybe the last 10 minutes of the
zone, getting it out, throwing it at the Colorado zone. Colorado brings it out. Jets scramble on their own end for 5 minutes, trying to keep Colorado on the outside and get a puck, get it to the blue or center ice, shoot it in, change lines.
Maybe the last 10 minutes of the first period yesterday. That's about it.
Maybe. I'd even give not 10, maybe 8 minutes, 7 minutes. But it's just, I'm just shocked. A team that did that, like, they are completely different. How they're playing is completely different from how they played in 82 games. No, not every game of the 82. They had some ups and downs. Every team, you got to go through seasonal play and there's lulls and whatever. But as a team, how they played, playing smart in front of Hellebuck, always having 3 guys back. There was not many 3-on-2s, 3-on-1s against the Jets. Always having a forward, playing high, supporting the defense as play came back into their zone. That's why these had the least amount of goals scored against them. Even with a terrible power or a terrible penalty kill, they still allowed the least amount of goals. And that team that played that way all year now decides we're going to run and gun with Colorado and we can't stand up to them. We can't push our will on them. It's just stunning to me how this team has just completely vanished. But I think it's a larger thing. I'm going to push it back to you. I think there's an issue, not with character. It's a little bit of character, but I think it's just makeup of the team. They have too many soft players, too many guys that don't know that have skill, a skilled playoff player. They don't have enough of those guys, like Natushkin, like these guys that go to the net, banging pucks, and they got skill. But who is doing that for the Jets? Who? Where's Sean Monahan? I mean, he's completely invisible. I haven't seen him doing anything.
Can I ask this question? I know you threw it back to me, but I'm going to throw it right back to you with this question. What do Tyler Myers, Dustin Byfuglien, Joe Morrow, to an extent Toby Enstrom, and Jacob Trouba all have in common?
Well, they're all former Jet defensemen. Yeah, okay.
That is the defense core from the last time we went to the Western Conference Final and lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. My point is, all those guys have somewhat size.
Well, it wasn't Joe. No, wait. That team that you're not referencing the same in 2018.
Well, sorry, in 2018, yeah.
It was Sherratt, Morrissey,
Byfuglien,
Myers, Trouba, and Kulikov.
And Joe Morrow.
Well, Joe Morrow was number 7, but yeah.
Yeah, Joe Morrow got the game-winning goal in Game 1. That's I remember that.
And that's because
Kulikov
was injured.
the size of that defense core relative to this one was much bigger. There was no time and space allowed by those defensemen to get to the opposition front of the net. Um, it was Paul Stastny's 2-goal game in Game 7 against Nashville that, helped escalate and move the Jets to the third round. But the rest, to me, is like, and I kind of talked to you about this already, it opens up a much bigger question of, does this need to be blown right up? My argument is, like, I looked at the contracts next year, that are expiring. There's a lot of them. It's the group led by Nick Wiles.
You're saying not this summer, because this summer I know there's DeMello and
Right.
there's Brendan Dillon. Is there anybody else?
Tyler Toffoli and Sean Monahan as well.
Okay.
But I'm looking at
Toffoli, who they brought in, and I think
Yeah.
also Sean Miller or Colin Miller too.
Yeah. So
Okay.
my other thing is not this year. I'm looking at next year. There's a lot of changes with the forward group. That's that IFLO group, that Ehlers group, that, like, to me, there comes a point, Rick, where you have to look at this objectively and say, can we fix this detour in one summer to give ourselves a legitimate shot to win next year, given all of the question marks that we have going forward? And if your answer to that is no, I really can't see you entering next year with all of those sort of UFA, RFA questions hanging over this.
They're going to address some of that, I think, this summer. They're going to address some of it.
You have to. But the thing is, like, the way this team is constructed, it's a regular season team when the Jets historically beat up on the really bad teams in the league, like the Arizonas, the Ottawas, the Buffaloes, that type. But they haven't had a lot of success against, granted, Colorado, but they haven't had a lot of success against the playoff type teams.
The Jets had the best record of any other Central Division team against other Central Division teams. They had the best record against other teams in their own division, not just
Fair enough, but I'm also staring at the fact that if we lose tomorrow, which is like, let's just be 100% honest about that. If we lose tomorrow, it'll be 2-8 the last 2 years in the playoffs, and one could argue a no-show for most of it. Better yet, a record outside of Game 1 would be 0-6. Because they won Game 1 last year and then lost 4 in a row. It's in danger of happening again. Like, at what point does Cheveldayoff take responsibility for this and say, I didn't construct this team correctly?
Well, but you know what? Is it constructing the team correctly? Like, if you drop... See, this is the thing. Like, I thought it was Wheeler and Dubois last year, and just that cloud of those guys that kind of laissez-faire, didn't care, kind of, I'll play when I want to, I play according to my way of playing. And that leadership group and those guys are gone. And now Adam Lowry, who I believe Josh Morrissey are good hockey leaders, like they're good guys. So I don't have an issue with that. I think it's the makeup of the player. Like, I know the Jets say, oh, we want to pick good quality guys, right? Like good character guys. That's important. That's as important as their skill level. Yeah, okay. We want guys that fit in here as a family because we're a small market team. We look out for each other. Yeah, but every team looks out for each other. That's okay, here nor there. Okay, so you want to focus on guys that have character and all that stuff. but they still have to play. And character is not just, hey, can you help watch my dog while I'm out of town? Can you help me move into my new house this weekend and bring your
Yep.
truck? It's not that kind of friendship. Or that kind of help. It's what kind of character there. It's the kind of character that in the playoffs, I'm willing to take a stick in the nose, going to the net. I'm willing to get slashed. I'm willing to get chopped on the back of my legs to go to the net. I'm willing to joust and get in front. I'm whatever it's gritty, whatever that is. I don't know.
I come back to that target line. I come back to that target line before the Vancouver Nashville series started.
The Jets don't have it.
He said, "Are we willing to pay the price for each other?" And I'm paraphrasing a little bit. There was a target quote before or after game one. It's, "Are you willing to get that stick in the face, that slash to the bat, that uncomfortable, willing to play through it?" To me, I just see a team that's scared and doesn't want to do what it takes. And to be honest, I don't know how the apathy in this fan base, they know what's coming. They're not stupid. We know what's coming. We've seen this movie before.
But we thought differently because they addressed it. They were consistent all year.
Right.
We had sometimes, they lost 6 games in a row, but it wasn't to the same team. 3 games in a row and potentially 4 games. But it's not even, it's how they're losing. If they lost 2-1 or 3-1 with an empty netter, or they lost in overtime, one of the 3 games, it's different. You could say, it's puck luck. It happens in the playoffs. Sometimes the team that plays way better ends up losing. You could argue for Nashville yesterday. Nashville outplayed Vancouver for large chunks of that game.
Yeah.
And Vancouver just got really lucky at the end, and it happens. And it's a little bit of luck. It's also skill. I mean, it's all the above, and you're fortunate. You pull the goalie and you get a late goal, or you get a pair of late goals and then score in overtime. A guy gets left wide open in front of the net. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Nashville's defense where a pair of guys chase after Garland behind the net. How can you score behind the net? Why are there 2 guys going to him? So to leave, what's his name, wide open in front of the net there, whoever scored. Who was that? Oh, that was Lindholm, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah. In overtime?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lindholm.
So I'm just saying teams can get lucky and whatever. They can get unlucky. That happens. But this Colorado has outplayed Winnipeg. You could argue they outplayed them for large chunks of the first game too. But Colorado has just dominated Winnipeg. They forced their will on the Jets, and there's been no, I don't say pushback, no grit. Where are the guys going hard to the net? Where is that? I mean, other than Lowry and maybe Niederreiter, who goes hard to the net and goes for pucks and bangs around in front and chews away and digs? Like, who hustles back to be the first forward back to support the 2D to help them out when Colorado turns around? I think Colorado's too fast, but the Jets are too slow. I don't know what it is. They're not made to be a playoff team. That's 2 years in a row that they do great during the regular season and they vanish. Like, this team is completely different. I can't even describe it. This team looks nothing like the team that played all year. Nothing like it. And it just stuns me that a team that was all defense first, and the system will generate offense from the defense. We're going to support Helly. We're going to support the defenseman. We're going to always have a third forward back. So there's always 3-on-3s and not 3-on-2s coming back in our own end. We're going to make it hard for the other team to play in our zone because we're going to move the puck out quickly and support the defenseman as they get the puck out. That's gone. Boom. It's gone. Now it's just run and gun. We don't know what we're doing. Fingers in our noses. It stuns me.
You're not wrong. I'll make the prediction here right now.
What's that?
If the Jets lose tomorrow, Red Bonus will not be the coach next year. Book it.
Actually, you know what? I was thinking the same thing. Is that
book it? He will not be back next year if they go out the way they've done the last 3 games.
I don't think he'll get fired. I just think he'll retire or he'll resign.
Yep. No, and then all bets are off for what happens.
Yeah, I agree, because there's some, but I don't even blame it. I don't know. Do I blame it on oh, we're not making the adjustments. Our team is not making the adjustments. Well, really? You guys have had 4 days to figure this out. Weren't there adjustments made after game one? If we win 7-6 and I let in 6 goals as a team and 4 with the man down, wouldn't you make some adjustments? I don't know.
I would.
You're just talking about adjustments now when you're down to your last game, like when you're at the doorstep.
Yeah, listen, I don't know. Like, to me, like, I would be perfectly okay if it just cleaned house if they lose tomorrow.
With what? Clean up? Well, you can't clean house with
Just
players.
general manager, coach, whatever it takes.
That's very drastic.
Listen, at some point, the architect of his team has to take responsibility.
Yeah, and these are the guys he picked. These are the guys, these are our guys. And the Jets are always, they're so good at drafting and developing. Look at all the guys, Ehlers and Connor and Scheifele and Lowry and Morrissey. Und.
The what have you done for me lately includes the playoffs. So let's back up. We have not reached the second round since the conference final in 2018.
Correct. And you could argue that was due
against Calgary in the bubble. No showed last year against Vegas. Played absolute garbage this whole 4-game stretch against Colorado. We're lucky to win game 1. I'll give them that.
How does a team, explain to me how a team vanishes in the playoffs after imposing their will pretty consistently for 82 games? How do they just roll over, almost like a puppy, to have their, like to be rubbed on their belly? Like that. I am just, is there nobody else out there that's as shocked as I am by that how this happens to this team? It just stuns me.
Here's the question. Somebody asked this of me today, and I did not want to have this discussion with this individual today. But I'll have this discussion right now. Are we not giving enough credit to what Colorado is doing and just saying this is an awful matchup?
Jets won 3 games against Colorado this year in 3 different months, 3 different times of the year.
Fair enough.
And twice shut them out.
Fair enough. But I just look at it. I just look at it this way. Will the Jets have more success against Vancouver this series? Probably the way they're playing. Would they have more luck against Dallas? Maybe. Would they have more luck against Nashville? Maybe. But the Jimmy, you-know-what level is so much higher in Colorado than it is in Winnipeg right now. And the only way that gets fixed is if a top-end defenseman comes in. And if you have to move 27 or 81 to do it, then so be it. Because those guys in the last 2 playoffs have been non-existent.
And you're right. I don't know what it is about the players that we pick that in general are this way. It's a good question. Like what is it? Like they're all these great quality guys, the kind of guys you'd like to hang out with, or like I say, they'd help you out to move on a Saturday, or they'd watch your dog while you go on vacation, or they'd check on your furnace and your hot water tank while you're in, on holidays for a couple of weeks from your house. Those kind of friends that you can ask. They're all great guys. But that thing that makes a hockey player great in the playoffs, that thing, whatever that is, there's not enough Jets that have that. Adam Lowry has that. Adam Lowry's a good hockey player. But you notice how when the playoffs come along, he becomes the best player on the Jets? That was last year. You can
2 years
argue
in a row now.
this year overall. Why is that? because he's got, I don't know what that is, but he's got that. And there's not enough guys on the team that have that.
They have that bully mentality for the playoffs.
They have what, Miguel?
You need a bully mentality for the
A
playoffs.
bully or a hard nose.
I'm going to go to the front of the net, and you're going to try to stop me.
Yeah, whatever that is. And I wouldn't say it's soft players. I don't want to say, I don't call, because there's Connor and Ehlers they've had hits taken. They've made some nice plays. Connor made a great play in the game one to body check the defenseman off the puck, hand it over to Velarde, who found Scheifele in front of the net. It's a great play, and that was all body. There was no skill in that. It was just going hard in the corner, knocking the guy off the puck and getting the puck to your teammate. So, but overall, consistently, I'm not sure if it's lack of speed, character, this, whatever that thing is, I don't know what that is, but the makeup of this team is not a playoff team. I know we talked about it the weekend, and I don't know what I don't think it's one thing. I think it's a whole bunch of little things. I think we are far too small on a defense in general. We're not fast enough, and we're too small.
Here's the text message that came in from an unnamed person right now watching our show.
Okay.
Do you think True North is okay with just making the playoffs, getting a few extra playoff gates, and care more about regular season sustainability for the playoffs? And whatever happens in the playoffs happens, but you keep participating in the fan base all throughout the season by winning consistently and making the playoffs year after year.
Well,
some of my guess is, are they okay with regular season success because it means potentially going on a playoff run?
So you're saying like they almost know that they're designing their team to be great in the regular season, but not so good in the playoffs? I don't know if you can design a team purposely that way.
Correct.
But I don't think you can design a team. I think that's the result of what's happened. I think Chevy and Chipman want to win in the playoffs. I don't think there's a question of that. But the problem is you've designed this team. You've picked these players. These are your guys you've picked for over the last 10 years. And like you say, you can't just trade away 18 contracts and bring in 18 new guys. You got to go with this. So this is what it is. But if I'm the Jets, if they lose now in the first, like if they don't win 3 in a row, and I don't think they're going to win 3 in a row, they might win tomorrow and then probably lose in the Mountain. Mind you, if they win tomorrow and they win in Colorado, coming back for game 7, well, first of all, that they've won 2 in a row would stun me, but it would tell me that they're playing better and they've made whatever adjustments they have. Then the 7th game is a coin toss. It could be anybody's, but odds are they're going to lose one of these next 3 and it's going to be done. In my mind, I agree with you. They are going to have to do something over the next 2 years with the UFAs that they have to move on. Listen, I like Dylan DeMello. I like him. He's a good, serviceable defenseman, but he's too small. He's just too small. That's why Ottawa gave up on him. That's why San Jose gave up on him. He's too small. He just doesn't. He's not physical enough. And he's not like, you can keep small defensemen if they're a Josh Morrissey or a Cale Makar. And Cale Makar is a little bit larger than Josh Morrissey. He's 6 feet, 6'1", whatever. He's a little bit thicker. But I'm saying he's what I would consider to be a small offensive defenseman, or like a Morgan Riley. You could have one of those guys on your team if they're small and they're offensive crazy. But Neil Pionk and DeMello, they're small defensemen who struggle, get pushed around, and they don't score enough. They're not offensively minded enough to overcome their lack of size and their lack of toughness. And they have too many of those guys. Nate Schmidt, great offensive defenseman, but he's terrible in his own end. Him and Stanley were on the ice for almost every goal. I think it was 3 out of the 4 goals was Stanley and Schmidt on the and it's matchups. It's not knowing how. It's just there's something wrong with this team. Why is this team the 5th best team during the regular season, and then they look like a non-playoff team? They look like how San Jose played all year. That's what they look like. They're slow. They're behind. They're lazy. They don't care. That's what it looks like. I mean, you could say, oh, they care about it. That's the eye test. Everybody's watching it. They're just getting pushed around like they're a bunch of junior A players by a bunch of
Well,
professionals.
there's a cost to winning in the playoffs, and quite frankly, the Jets are not willing, as of right now, to pay that price to win games consistently.
That's what it looks like. Now, again, I'm not able to judge hearts and heads. I don't know but what it looks like just on the
Right.
results, they're getting pushed around. So
To me,
I agree. There's a comment here. Yeah, we should move on, but there's a comment here.
Yeah, we got to move on. But I just want to reiterate one thing.
Yeah.
Jets lose tomorrow. I don't see a chance that Rick Bowness comes back next year.
No, I think he'll resign. I think or retire.
Well, he has the team option this year. So
yeah. But what's interesting is will they still go with the remaining crew?
Listen, I don't know how or which coach is responsible for the PK, but the penalty kill has not just been a problem the last 3 games.
It was all year, and last year too.
It's been all year. So the coach that's responsible for the PK, you get to the EI office as well. Because as you said, I mean, a penalty kill or a power play that's percentage better gets to just a few more points and maybe first place in a different matchup.
Yep.
But the problem is the Jets' problems in the regular season have reared their ugly head here in the playoffs. And it's sad. It's predictable. It's why I didn't pick the Jets to win this series on very many podcasts, maybe outside of this one, because in the back of my head, I was worried about this whole thing happening. Part of me just wants it to be 7-1 Colorado tomorrow just to see the reaction and the post-mortem of what's to come and how this organization is going to define this season. It's probably not going to be defined by a week, mate. Yeah. Well, if they lose tomorrow, last stat before we move on, because there's another team that I think fits into this boat. We'll talk about them in a few seconds.
Yeah.
Just remember, 2-8 in 10 playoff games. And no, it's not the officiating. It's not anything else. It's this give a you know what meter that's too low right now. Anyway, frustration of mine has been vented. Let's move on. There is another team that I think is following in the same footsteps of the Winnipeg Jets, who is likely to see their elimination a few hours earlier than the Winnipeg Jets, and that is Toronto Maple Leafs. Boston leads 3-1. Boston exemplifying why they are a playoff team and a perennial playoff contender every year. While the Toronto Maple Leafs begin the same old sad story of the Toronto Maple Leafs for the last 8 years and why they haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967, why they have one first-round win to speak of since 2004. This is a team that's teetered on the edge of a blowing it right up as currently constructed. Rhett, your thoughts?
Well, I don't think they can blow it up. They've got all those long-term contracts. How are they going to get rid of Tavares and Nylander and Matthews? Are not going to get rid of. Are they going to get rid of Marner? He's a Toronto kid. I don't know. It's again, it's a little bit, actually, it's kind of interesting. When I was thinking about that today, when I was just on my lunch, I was thinking about the show and what we're going to be talking about. It's interesting to me because in a lot of ways, what Toronto is experiencing with Boston is the same thing as what Winnipeg is experiencing with Colorado. But mind you, Winnipeg had a much better, I think Winnipeg going into the series had a much better standing against Colorado than Toronto did to Boston. Boston manhandled Toronto all year. They're continuing to manhandle them in the playoffs. But I think Toronto, it's that same thing. You can't win on on offensive, talented players. You've got to have the right mix of guys. And I just don't think, like, even the Oilers as compared to the Leafs. The Oilers got some high skill, but they also got some guys that know, like, how to play on that third and fourth line, how to play playoff games, how to just, yeah, how to play that way. And no, you could argue, yeah, look who are the Oilers playing against. They're playing against the Kings, and the Kings are, yeah, okay, yeah, they're a lower seed, and yeah, they didn't have a great year, and they really had a hard time scoring goals, and yeah, okay, and they don't really have a number one goalie. Okay, all these things, but and it would maybe be very different if you had. Be interesting to see what happens if Edmonton ends up playing Colorado, let's say, or something, and seeing that speed being pushed against the Oilers and how they would respond. But that being said, Toronto, they're missing something. It's that same thing. I don't know how to say. They look great through the regular season. They can score goals. They score more goals than almost any other team. They're great on the power play, tons of skill. But in the playoffs, when it's harder to score, when there's less time with the puck, when there's less space on the ice to make plays, when you don't have as much room to pipsy doodle and find guys and do all this, Toronto struggles in that environment, and the Jets do too. And I think
that's why I didn't kind of bat to bat. I think we just say a
yeah.
lot of the same things about the Leafs and the Jets.
How about
Let's
you?
talk
Like, you
about-
don't think that the Bruins are just like knocking the Leafs around? Like the Leafs
yeah,
just
yeah.
didn't.
This will be over in game 6 at the absolute latest. Austin Matthews has been MIA now. Apparently, he's been very sick.
Yeah.
Leaf fans will not take that for an answer, I think. I think there's going to be something coming out once the Leaf season done within to define all of this. But with their defense core, because they're so forward heavy with money, they have to bring in guys that would be fifth and sixth on a lot of teams' depth charts playing in their top 4.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Morgan Riley is the only defenseman of value that the Leafs have that I would want on my team if I was making a trade. Giordano, Benoit, all seem cheap alternatives because you have no money to spend elsewhere because you're spending $42 million on 4 front end forwards that do not perform when the jury counts on it. Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews.
I agree. If those 4 guys could score together 4 to 5 goals a game, then it doesn't matter. But when they don't, then they're exposed.
And now you have to rely on Kali Yoncourt, Matt Stomey, Tyler Bertuzzi, etc., to score goals, and they haven't.
Yep.
And the goaltending for the Leafs has been an issue right from as long as I can remember. And we all know the problem with not Frederick Anderson based on what we're doing in Carolina. Sad, but I think major changes coming in Toronto. We'll talk about the game, but we'll drop the puck in 15 minutes from now at the Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise, Florida. It's game 5 between the Lightning and the Panthers. Rich, if there's any team that could come back from 3-0 down in the series, it's the Tampa Bay Lightning. Who knew that putting Miguel Sergachev in the lineup would give the Lightning a bit of a jolt? Vasilevsky, when facing elimination, we know that stat. It's out of this world. But what gives? I mean, Florida won a couple close games to get up 3-0, including an overtime goal. This is just, to me, Florida being the better team in Tampa Bay at this present moment, and Tampa Bay's just behind them.
Yeah, I think the window is closing on the Lightning. Their players are just older, and that's just that window of their.
You have the saying. You have the saying for me all the time. Decent out. There it
What's
is.
that?
Decent out. They're old.
Oh, decent alt. Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear. Yes, they're getting old. Yes, that's a German phrase. Yeah, decent alt. They're old. Yes, and I would agree with you. But it's, you know what, the Lightning, I think they would be, they would have been exposed anyway. If they had played like the Bruins, I think it would have been a similar play out if they had played the Bruins. Not sure about the Leafs, but they're a good
Well,
team.
the problem is, I think Tampa lines up better with the Leafs than anybody else of those teams you just mentioned.
Could be, but I think this is me just personally, because I know we talked about this before. I think Florida is on a mission. They were there. They lost in the finals, but they had tons of injuries, including Kachuk, who you could argue is their most important player, most valuable player, other than maybe Bobrovsky. But they're just on a
Bobrovsky is
mission.
on the taste.
They are created to be a playoff team. That's how they are. That's their grit. It's how they're a little bit chippy. They're a little bit edgy. They're big. They can skate. They're tough when they need to be. They're hard to play against. All those cliches you want to use, that's Florida. And it's hard for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a good team. I mean, Tampa Bay manhandled the Leafs there in the last game of the season. And like, Tampa Bay is no slouch. They're no terrible team, but I just think Florida is that good that it's going to be really, I think it's going to be Florida and the Bruins. And I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup for the second year in a row now, Florida and the Bruins in the second round. So
Florida and the Bruins for the right to go to the Cup final. You heard it here.
Cup semifinal.
If they don't beat the tar out of each other by then.
Cup semifinal.
Yeah, I know. But they'll go to the final. The winner will go to the final.
They're going to beat Carolina or New York. We'll see. But anyway, we should move on.
But I think there's a lot of intrigue in the East, no matter which way this goes.
I don't think the Toronto. I think just like with the Bruins, they will not lose 3 in a row. Florida will not lose 3 in a row to Tampa Bay. Let's go.
Rangers, first team to advance to the round of 8, with a sweep of the Washington Capitals.
Yeah,
it just looked like the Capitals spent everything in those last 3 weeks to try to get in.
Yeah, but they're so far. Like, they were the worst team to get into the playoffs.
I know.
They were the worst team. Like, they had the worst record, the worst goals against. Actually, what's shocking is kind of interesting. I was reading today. It's the first time ever that Alex Ovechkin in a playoff series did not get a point. He didn't get a single point in all 4 games.
Didn't get a goal.
No, didn't get a goal. I don't think he got a point.
Didn't get a point either.
It's old. Washington they're kind of a few years ahead because they won the Cup a few years ahead of the Lightning. They won in 2018. The Lightning won in 2020, 19-20. They're 21, and Washington's the same place.
The Capitals won the Cup the year the Jets went to the
2018
conference final.
Yep. But I'm
Yeah,
just saying they're old. Their window is closed. Their superstar players are old. Carlson and Ovechkin are old. Nicholas Backstrom is done. I don't think he's going to play hockey. I don't know if he's officially retired, but he's got far too many injuries. So that team is just Oshie is 36, 37 years old. He's old. Like they just eventually, like I've told you before, either you leave the game or the game leaves you. It happens to every pro athlete. It happens to all of us. It happens to me. It happened to me. I played soccer for 30 years in rec soccer. Eventually, you got to say, Father Time has crept up on me, and all my great memories and great times on the soccer field are done. And that's the way it is. And that's the way it is for the Washington Capitals. I mean, they have some good young players, but the Rangers, again, Rangers, Capitals, Bruins, Panthers. Those are 4 very good teams. Out of those 4 teams,
you mean the Hurricanes? You mean the Hurricanes?
But did I say Hurricanes? Did I say Carolina?
You said Rangers, Washington.
Okay, Rangers, Hurricanes, Bruins, Panthers. Out of those 4 teams, whoever comes out of the East, that's a beast. That's a beast of the East. Those 2 series, when they now get to the conference semifinals, that's unbelievable. I mean, just think about those. Any one of those teams, to me, could win the Stanley Cup this year, and you could say, "Oh yeah, I could see that." There's no
Yep.
surprise by any of those teams winning because they're all fantastic teams. Great goaltending, great defense, great scoring. It's going to be a battle. Either one of those. I'm already telling you now. I'm going to pick either one of those series. I'm going to pick them in 6 or 7, and I don't even know. Probably 7 because they're just going to hammer the tar out of each other, which might help the team that comes out of the West. But we'll see. Yeah.
I would have saved their season for another 2 days with a double overtime victory.
Who
is it over here tomorrow night?
Islanders. It's
Yep.
over. It's all over, but the crying.
Yeah,
all 3 of those series, Carolina, Florida, and Bruins, they win. They don't lose 3 in a row. No way.
What do you make of Vancouver and Nashville as we move back west? I mean, Vancouver hasn't played particularly well. They've used 3 different goaltenders, and here they are up 3-1.
Unbelievable. That game last night, Brock Besser just said, I don't want to lose. I mean, and that goalie, and see, there's a team that, again, and you know what's shocking to me, I'm kind of all over the place, but shocking to me is Peterson has been kind of invisible. Like he hasn't done much. It's been Brock Besser and JT Miller, and even Quinn Hughes got banged around quite a bit. But Vancouver has won with just some really good defense. They're hard to play against. They got some big defensemen, Myers, Zadorov. They just pound you into pudding when you go to the net. And you better pay the price to play against Vancouver. And I really like this series. I'm shocked. I thought it would be more 2-2. In fact, you and I both picked Nashville to win. I picked Nashville in 6. You picked Nashville in 7. But that's the way the playoffs are sometimes.
But here's the thing. My concerns for Vancouver have been expressed and shown in this series, yet they've overcome that. It's not like they're tearing the house down, winning these games. They're not generating an awful lot. And in fact, if Nashville doesn't hit the goalpost on an empty net there yesterday, this series is 2-2 going to Vancouver. Like, this has been a microfiber game of inches. And it's been a couple of lucky plays that have gone Vancouver's way, hence them being up 3-1 and a chance to close the series.
Yep.
Now, if you would have told me that Artur Slurves would be better than Connor Hellebuyck in the playoff, I would have said, yeah, right. But it makes you wonder, do you need to spend $8 million on a goaltender? But that being said, that's
well, but look at Florida. Florida's got a $9 or $10 million goalie that's playing out of his mind.
Yep.
It's all relative. Yeah. The Jets. Yeah. Okay, we're going to get back on the Jets. Hellebuyck has to be better. Their defense has to be better. Their penalty killing has to be better. Their offensive play has to be better. Their speed has to be better. They have to play better as a team. And Florida is able to do that. They're able to play well in front of it. And when they don't play well, then Bobrovsky makes an amazing save to keep his team in it when his team goes off the rails a little bit. Because no team can play perfect for 60 minutes because you've got the other team imposing their will on you, right? So,
yep. Last 2 series, quickly, this has been a series of the road team. Dallas staying alive with an overtime victory in Las Vegas. Count your blessings. Dallas has not played well in this series.
No, and they're the only team that's down 2-1. All the other series are 3-1. So
yeah, this is their 3-1. Yeah, because they're a day behind.
Yep. But they play tonight again, right?
Yeah, they play tonight in the late game. Yeah.
Yep.
Vegas win tonight.
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I'd love to see Dallas win.
Who would have thought that? 2-0 won of Vegas. You thought it was over, and Dallas pulls out 2 wins
Dallas
on the road.
Is a good team. Listen, they're a good second best team in the league during the regular season. They're a good team. That's why it shocked me that they were so easy to. Well, that's the easy play. It shocked me that Vegas was able to play as well as they did in Dallas, and do that. But these are
we all know why. The doctor's offices in Vegas have something going on there where players can come up LTIR and look what they haven't missed.
Don't tell me about the IR playoff miracle again. I'm so tired of hearing about that story.
Yeah. Anyway, last year, go ahead.
No, I'm not saying anything.
Okay, last year I'll touch on quickly. Edmonton, LA is this one over 3-1 to Edmonton.
Yeah, this one, I thought LA would win. I know you picked the Oilers. I should have picked the Oilers, but I didn't. But I'm just really surprised at how Edmonton has been able to gel in the second half of the year and continue that into the playoffs. And even with McDavid being like he was a little bit injured and coming back, they've got the right mix of guys there. They've got the two skilled guys in McDavid and Draisaitl, but they got nice pieces around them in Eriksson and Nurse and Hyman and Kane and the Henrique, and they just got they have some nice pieces of the team. They're a little bit more balanced than they've been before, and they're going to be, if they move on, and it's going to be them in Vancouver. That's going to be a heck of a series, Vancouver and Edmonton. That is really going to be a heck of a series.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
What, you think the Oilers are going to roll over them?
I think the Oilers are going to win in 5. I'll see that right now.
Okay.
But anyway, anything else stand out? Obviously, Dave Hatstall fired from Seattle today.
Yep.
Other story, the Vezina nominees, Hellebuck, Demko, Bobrovsky. Don't think there's a surprise on either end of both parts of news.
No. Hacksaw, what are you going to do? I mean, he's there 3 years. He misses the playoffs. Then they make the playoffs. They win in the first round. And now they lose. Well, since from last year to this year, they lost a ton of players. I could just think off the top of my head, Susie was a great defenseman for them now playing with the Canucks. I mean, they lost a lot of players after their playoff run last year. They couldn't hang on to them. So the free agency, guys want to go play other places, maybe with the teams have a better shot in the short term. So they have to leave in free agency. And now the team suffers. Is that all Hacksaw's fault? I don't think so. I mean, it's a team that wasn't existing 3 years ago. So it's inevitable.
Other piece of news this week, just on the way out, David Quinn relieved of his duties in San Jose. I don't know what you wanted him to do there, but the idea was to be as bad as possible, and now you fire your coach for doing exactly what you asked him to do. I don't understand, unless their future coach is there. Unless their future coach is now a free agent that they want to talk to. IT Pierre Nico Sturm is the next coach of the San Jose Sharks, but you do you, I guess.
Yeah, not a surprise to me. San Jose is just San Jose. You're not going to have the same coach coaching you through that lull and through where you're terrible and the worst team in the league to the team that's going to the coach that's going to take you out of that into the season. It's just not going to be the same guy, right? So
last question. There's now 4 coaches that have been fired just before their contract extensions kick in. What gives to this?
What do you mean?
What's going on? Like it seems like there's a lot of coaches that are being fired just as their new contracts are about to kick in.
Who?
The Sharks coach signed an extension. Hatsaw signed an extension. Woodcroft signed an extension in.
But they signed an extension because they signed an extension after the year of success that they had. I mean, Hackstall had a great year. He went to the second round of the playoffs. So you give him an extension. Then the next year, so what are you going to do?
So why give him me extension?
Well, it's a good question. You got to ask that question to Ron Francis. You give an extension, and then you yank away 5 or 6 guys that helped him get into the second round of the playoffs. And then you pull those guys away. You let him go to free agency. You sign him to extension, and then you fire him a year later. That's not brilliant, Ron.
Well,
I mean,
just a reminder, it was the Seattle Kraken that beat the Colorado Avalanche last year.
correct, in the first round. Correct.
Just saying.
I know.
But anyway, what are you looking for in the NHL this week? Do we just end this tomorrow, few the Jets, and move on?
Michael, again, heart and head. I'd love to see the Jets. I just love, even if they lose, that they play like the Jets we've seen all year. That's what I'd like to see. But if they win, wow, that could change everything. That changes the momentum. They go back to the mountain, see what could happen on the mountainside. And then if they win in the mountainside, coming back home, game 7, wow, then anything's possible. But let's just win one game. How about that? But my heart says, yeah, I want to see that. I think I could see that. My head says they're not going to figure anything out. The Avs know all the buttons to press on the Jets. They know how to push them around. They know how to pressure them. They know how to make it hard for them to score. They know how to score in the dirty areas. The Jets don't have some level of strength and size and toughness. They can suddenly grow DeMello, Pionk, and Morrissey from 6 feet, 190 pounds to 6'4", 240 pounds. They don't have some miracle growth pill that they can give these guys to make them bigger and tougher and stronger. So what are you going to do with Ehlers? You're going to make him 40 pounds bigger and make him tougher? I don't know. Connor? I don't know. We'll see. So, but the other series, I see Vegas, or I see the Stars tying up with Vegas again tonight, and Florida and the Bruins both winning and ending that series. It's over.
Yep. Yeah. Bruins don't play till tomorrow, but
and I agree with the comment here. Just came in. Vegas is not your regular 8th seed team, and I agree. They are not your regular 8th seed team. Well, they were the Cup winner last year, who just happened to have a really bad year with injuries and whatever, and now they're playing the number 1 team in the conference, in the Stars, and they're giving the Stars all they can handle. It's probably not the ideal position that the Stars wanted to be in, but that's the way it is sometimes, right? So,
yep, fair enough. All right, next time we're back will be either later this week or next Monday, whichever comes first. I have a feeling round 2 will be starting on Friday night, so you might hear from us before that, might not. We'll keep in touch with the social channels for that. Thanks, for allowing us to go a little bit over time here. And we'll see everybody when we preview round number 2 and wrap up round number 1. On behalf of everybody, it's Michael just saying good night from Winnipeg, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.